Hello students, this is Mr. Deaver, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do pH calculations. Let's jump right into it. Now we know that we measure acids by looking at H plus concentration, and we measure bases by looking at OH minus or hydroxide concentration. And often these concentrations are really small numbers. Like we could have an acid with a molarity of 1 times 10 to the negative 5 molar, or 0.0001 molar. Because of these really small numbers, we use logarithms to make these small numbers easier to deal with. Now, it's not super important that you understand really what logarithms are, but we're just going to quickly show you what they are and how they work so you can see that, okay? Log is essentially the inverse of 10 to the power of something. So, for example, if we ask for the log of 10, we're really asking 10 to the power of what equals 10? Right? It's like there's a question mark here. Well, since 10 to the power of 1 equals 10, the log of 10 is equal to 1. Right? In the same way, if we ask for the log of 100, we're really asking 10 to the power of what equals 100? 10 to the power of 2 equals 100. So log of 100 equals 2. And perhaps you could see it's going to keep going, right? What would the log of 1,000 be? 3. The log of 10,000? 4, etc. What about the log of 0.1? We're really asking 10 to the power of what equals 0.1? 10 to the negative 1 equals 0.1, so the answer is negative 1. What about the log of 0.01? We're really asking 10 to the power of what equals 0.01? Since 10 to the negative 2 equals 0.01, log of 0.01 equals negative 2. And again, the pattern would continue. The log of 0.001 would be negative 3. The log of 0.0001 would be negative 4, etc. Now, it's not really important that you understand what logs are, but you do have to know how to use these formulas correctly. You don't have to memorize the formulas, just know how to use them. So again, let's jump right into it, okay? Let's do number 1 together, and then we're going to give you some time to practice and go over the answers. So number 1, they give us the H plus concentration, and they ask us to find the pH. So which formula of these three are we going to use? We're going to use this formula. And we're going to take our number here, our H plus concentration, and plug it in for H plus. We're going to replace H plus with this number, and when we do, what do we get? We get this. pH equals the negative log of 1 times 10 to the negative 6. Now we have to enter this into the calculator. And I'm sure you can see that this number is written in scientific notation. So depending on your calculator, you may have to enter this number in differently. Sometimes you can enter it in like this. 1 times 10, caret symbol, negative 6. Sometimes you can enter it in with an E. 1E, negative 6. Just remember, when you use the E, don't put the times 10 or the caret. All right, it just depends on your calculator. But whatever calculator you have, we're going to enter this in to get the pH. I'm going to use this calculator. And remember also that some calculators, the minus sign and the negative sign are different buttons, but in this calculator, they're the same thing. So I'm going to do negative log of 1 times 10 to the negative 6. In this calculator, I just use this button to do exponents, and I don't have to do either the caret or the E. Press equal, and my answer is 6. Here's my answer. Pause the video, try numbers 2 through 6, and then come back when you're ready. Okay, we are back. I'm going to show you these three answers because they're all really similar. They all use these two formulas, and you're just doing negative log of this to get your pH, or negative log of this to get your pOH. Number 5 and 6 are a little bit different because they rely on this formula. We didn't go over this type of problem before because maybe you could figure it out, but in case you couldn't, I'm going to show you now, okay? So pH plus pOH equals 14. These two always add up to 14. So let's take my 4.5 and plug it in for pH, and I get this. 4.5 plus pOH equals 14. But now I want to isolate this pOH by itself. I want to get it by itself on one side of the equal sign. How do I do that? I have to subtract both sides by 4.5. Okay, when I do that, what I get is the 4.5 on the left side is going to cancel out because 4.5 minus 4.5 is 0. And then pOH is left by itself. And we get pOH equals 14 minus 4.5. What does that equal? 9.5. So if we give you pH or pOH, you can subtract that from 14 to get the other one. And there's our answer for number 6. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite. What if they give us pH or pOH and they ask us to get the concentration? Well, they give us pH here. We're going to use this formula to get the H plus concentration. H plus concentration equals 10 to the negative pH. This here is our exponent. So I'm going to take this pH and plug it into the equation and replace pH with a 4. So let's do that in the calculator. 10 to the negative 4, and that equals 0.001. And notice that I wrote the answer both in standard and scientific notation. Okay, pause the video and then come back when you're ready with your answers. Okay, sweet. There's the answers for 2, 3, and 4 because they're all really similar. It's all just doing 10 to the negative this number to get the answer. Number 5 was a little bit different. Maybe you could figure it out because they gave you the pOH and asked you for the H plus concentration. So we can't do that in one step. There's no way to use pOH to get the H plus concentration. So we first have to convert pOH to pH using this formula from the last set. So 14 minus 5 is 9. And then 10 to the negative 9 is that. Okay, that's our answer. So number 5 actually kind of gives you a preview for the next thing we're going to do. Because in the next section, we're going to do 2-step problems or even 3-step problems where we're going to have to use one or more of these equations to convert between one of these and the other. So this is a pretty helpful graphic organizer that's on your paper that might be helpful for you. And let's use that to answer these 3 questions. So if you know the pH, what 2 things can you find in just simply one step? Well, we can go from pH to H plus using this equation here. Or we can go from pH to pOH using this equation. But we can't get pH to OH concentration in one step. Not possible. If you know H plus concentration, what one thing can you find? There's only one thing. You can go from H plus to pH using this formula. What about if you know pOH? From pOH, we can go to pH using this equation, or we can get the hydroxide concentration using this equation. We cannot go from pOH to H plus concentration in one step. So using the formulas, and if you need, you can use this graphic organizer. We are going to do 2 of the problems on your chart together, A and D. Let's start with A. They give us the H plus concentration, and we have to find everything else. So using H plus concentration, what's the only thing we can find in one step? The pH. So let's see, pH equals negative log of H plus. So we need to do negative log of this. So let's do that real quick. Negative log 1 times 10 to, whoops, try that again. 1 times 10 to the negative 5. That equals 0.0001. Oh, I did the wrong equation. What am I doing? pH. pH is equal to what did I do wrong? Let's try that again. Negative log 1 times 10 to the negative 5. Okay, not sure what I did last time. Must have pressed something wrong. But our pH is equal to 5. I think maybe last time I forgot to put a negative symbol somewhere because I knew our answer didn't make sense. Okay, so our pH is equal to 5. So from pH, where can we go next? From pH, we can go to pOH using this equation. So 14 minus 5 is 9. Once we have pOH, we can finally go from here to here and get the hydroxide concentration. OH concentration equals 10 to the negative pOH. So we have to do 10 to the negative 9. 10 to the negative 9. That equals 1e negative 9, or you can write it like this, 1 times 10 to the negative 9 molar. You also have to say, is it acidic, basic, or neutral? Now, technically, you should be able to use any of these to figure out if something is acidic, basic, or neutral, but the easiest one to use is the pH. Since the pH is below 7, it's an acid. Okay, let's look at D. In D, they give us the pOH. So we actually have two options. We can use pOH to get OH minus or pH. Which one do you want to do first? Well, since I'm the only one here, I want to do OH minus concentration first. So we're going to do that. OH concentration equals 10 to the negative pOH. So we're going to do 10 to the negative 13. 10 to the negative 13 equals 1 times 10, negative 13 molar. Okay, just a different way to write that. Okay, now we have our OH minus concentration, but that's kind of a dead end here. We can't use that for anything else. So let's use the pOH again to get the pH using this equation. We know the pOH is 13, so 14 minus 13 is 1. And last step, we know the pH. Let's use that to get our H plus concentration. That equals 10 to the negative pH, 10 to the negative 1. Let's do that in our calculator. That equals 0.1 molar. All right, and because the pH is less than 7, it's 1, it is acidic. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Do the rest of these problems on your own and then check your answers.